Hello, hello everyone. This is Go Tiger Astros, and I just wanted to do a quick little video talking about something that I've heard kind of on some other channels. They've just briefly mentioned it, especially when it comes to pitching in particular. You may have noticed that the Astros over the past few years, really, they've got kind of a special thing going in the pitching area. I don't know what it is about their pitching coaches and what they've got going on, the culture that they have cultivated with their pitchers. And despite some rough spots here and there, they always seem to come back to this core of being able to take pitchers, maybe pitchers who had a decent run before, and then they've hit a rough spot, a rough patch, and they've been able to bring them back, get them focused, and get some new stuff in their repertoire, in their arsenal, get them back out on the mound and get them performing really well. And this came about again recently. Of course, we could look at Hunter Brown as an example of a guy who came along and the Astros just stuck with him and worked with him, and now he's one of the best in MLB. We weren't sure what he was going to turn into because of the way he started off this year, but you know, look at where he's at now. Absolutely crazy. He's going to be starting game 2 against the Orioles tomorrow. I'm going to be calling that game live, play by play. So if you can, feel free to stop in and say hi, like the channel, listen to the play by play. But the other thing is the most recent acquisition in the way of pitching was with Yusei Kikuchi, and Kikuchi came in from the Blue Jays, and I don't have his stats on my screen, but I do know that his ERA was up close to 6, I believe. I know it was over 5, 5.5. Maybe it was up around 5.8 or something like that. You can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that it was over 5, and a lot of people wondered, did we give up way too much in that trade because we lost a few guys to get Kikuchi, and it just didn't seem to make a lot of sense to people. And the very first couple of pitches of the game, Kikuchi gave up home runs. He gave up a home run. He gave up a couple of runs right off the bat. And in the very first inning of his first game, it looked like, holy crap, what have we done? But then, since then, he changed gears, and we have seen almost nothing but a guy who continues to strike out a lot of batters and limit the damage on the field. And just in his last game, his most recent game, he did kind of the same thing. At the very beginning of the game, he gave up a home run, gave up a couple of runs, but after that, it was just lockdown time once again. So Kikuchi has been on fire, and what a lot of channels are talking about is this seeming ability the Astros have to bring pitchers in who are struggling or are just a bit down, make some tweaks, put them out on the mound, and then they just become aces, and that's pretty amazing. But the reason I decided to make this video, it's because what we saw earlier today, wherever you are, I don't know where you're at right now, but for me, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Let me check something right quick. I need to just bring up something on the screen. So for me, it was earlier today. For you guys, maybe it was last night with the Astros game 1 against the Baltimore Orioles. Yep, that's right. I'm looking at the information on the screen right now, the actual data on the screen, and according to this, it's pretty insane the performance we got out of Ben Gamel. Okay. For those of you who may not know, Ben Gamel was playing with the Mets. The Astros claimed him off waivers. They brought him in, and he started his first game with the Astros, game 1 versus the Orioles in Baltimore. They put him in the 6th slot, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right. They started him in right field in the sixth slot. And if you want to know what his performance was like, well, I'll give you a little taste. In the 2nd inning, he did strike out, but in the 4th inning, he singled to center, scoring Diaz. In the 6th inning, he singled again to right field, scoring Alvarez. In the 8th inning, he walked. Now, for this game, I've got some information right down here about his batting average before he came here the limited amount of bats that he had this year, the low stats that he had, and no more than average, I guess you could say. His average coming in was 269 for the season. And by the way, that's actually up a little bit now that he has this game under his belt with the Astros. That average is actually up. It was lower than that. But check this out. These are his stats for the game that he played, his first game with the Astros, all right? His batting average was 667. He had 2 RBIs, and his OPS was 1.4. 1.417, guys. And talk about getting output. We've got 2 runs on the board in that game. We shut out the Orioles 6-0, and 2 of those runs came from Gamel. Arrighetti pitched 6 innings of 3-hit ball, got a shutout. Another pitcher that the Astros have worked with. If you just look at what the Astros continue to do, and they're even getting production out of their new guys, their rookies, the guys that they pulled up from AAA. Today we had, who else did we have in the game today? We had now Caratini's been improving. He had a key hit today and scored a run. His batting average is 279, knocking at the door 280. But as far as Whitcomb came through with 2 RBIs on a key hit, and he was in at third base. Bregman was the DH today. He still is not playing in the field, but he is able to get in the game and hit. Whitcomb has been covering him over at third. He's doing a decent job over there, but today's, I mean, I like what I'm seeing so far. He's batting 263 with the Astros to this point, and he's not doing a bad job. The Astros scored, not only did they get 6 runs, they had 2 different innings where they got, they had multiple runs scored. They scored 2 in the 4th and 4 in the 6th. They really just had it rolling today, and the thought crossed my mind, is there just something about the Astros that when they bring in pitchers or players from somewhere else that they just, because I don't know if it's because of the culture in the Houston dugout, between the camaraderie they have with each other, or the relationship with the coaches or whatever. It just makes me wonder about the mindset that these guys have when they come in from another team, and then they just start going gangbusters with the Astros. It makes me wonder, what is it that's so different about the Astros? And even, I mean, they've still got work to do with their AAA guys that have come up. But now the Astros also have Neris back, Hector Neris, who was with the Astros last year, a big part of their back-end awesomeness. He's back, and he hasn't had a stellar time being away from the Astros. But once again, the question is out there, now that he's back with the Astros, are things going to change again? It'll be something interesting for us to watch, guys, as we move forward. Right now, you can see on the screen the date I've got is for Game 1. This game was, I'm sorry for Game 2. The matchup for tomorrow, the game that I'll be calling, with Cade Povich on the mound for the Orioles and Hunter Brown on the mound for the Astros. And just so you're aware, tomorrow could be another really good opportunity for the Astros to not only move up again in the division, but to get their 70th win of the year and go ahead and win this series over the Orioles. The reason I'm telling you that is because of the stats that I see for the Orioles pitcher, Cade Povich. Listen to this. Povich is 1-6 right now with a 5.77 ERA. In 43 innings, he's given up 46 hits. He's only struck out 31 batters, but he's also got 23 walks. So think about that. In 43 innings, 46 hits, and 23 balls. So that's 89 guys on base in 43 innings. That's more than 2 people on base per inning on average. So I expect the Astros to be tearing this guy up tomorrow. Hunter Brown is on the mound, and we all know what he's able to do right now. He's just balling like nobody's business. But that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to get that out there and have you guys, if you haven't been thinking about it, I've been thinking about it a lot. Some other people have mentioned about it in relation to the Astros pitching culture. But I kind of feel like it's a little deeper than that. I think it's not just the pitching culture. I think that it's the culture of the team, the camaraderie there, and the relationship with the coaches. I believe that when people come in from outside, or when people come back, like Verlander did, like Neris has now, I think that things are different for them and they recognize it. But when they're there, maybe the players, they get a little complacent when they're there for a while and they've won the World Series, and maybe they get a little complacent. Then we have what happened earlier this year at the beginning of the year where the Astros struggled for a long time trying to find themselves, but then finally remembering who they are and playing some better ball. If they can just keep scoring runs when they've got guys on base rather than stranding them, then we'll really have a good chance of getting into the World Series. But that's all I wanted to say, guys. Thank you so much for checking out my channel and following me, listening to my games. I really hope that you'll be here tomorrow morning and the next morning. And of course, I say morning, that's morning for me. For you guys, it'll be probably afternoon or evening. Wherever you are in the world, thank you so much, and go Stros.